Season 7 starts now in the spring training portion of our season. And as always, we are going to start with the top prospects around the league and in our organization. Here are the top 10 prospects in MLB. Randall Franco, the highly drafted pick last year. He's going to start the year in Double-A for the Cardinals, and they have two of the best prospects that we've seen since I've been the GM here. Herman Franco and Randall Franco. One's Fran, one's Fran, so it's fun. These two are going to be studs, and the Cardinals are going to be a lot better, a lot quicker than people think they will be. Andres Gomez from the White Sox, he comes in at number 2. Fernando Peralta for Cincinnati at number 4, and Carmine Medrano, the starting pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays, comes in number 5. Alfred Obama for Houston, Andres Dominguez for Pittsburgh, Eugene Carroll. Actually, we drafted a few years ago, failed to sign, ended up going with the Dodgers, and they've churned out just another stud pitcher. What's new? Roger Acosta for the Twins, a few years away. And then David Moore comes in at number 10 on MLB's list. Obviously going to be number 1 on ours. Checking up the rest of the league, new acquisition Troy Wood and Enrique Benitez are in the top 20. Robert Cairo just outside at number 22. Ken Yamazaki, our first-round pick last year at 33. And Henry Manuel sits at number 39, so a few top 50 prospects for us. Roger Colon is at number 55. Bernardo Caruso at 73. Chris Sutton up in the top 100 at 83. And any more Rockies to round it out, that will be it. Now let's just check out our specific top 15. Starting at 15, it's David Bike. He is the catcher we got in not this past offseason, but the offseason prior. He's just a good defensive catcher with overall good hitting skills. He's number 15 on our list. Lewis Pittman, a guy that we scouted not once, but twice in multiple drafts. Now we have got in the Jesus Luzardo trade. And he is just an overall well-rounded bat with some really high fielding and actually really good athleticism. He could potentially be third base option for us in the coming future. Obviously, third base, we're giving the keys to Sterling Thompson there. So if Thompson isn't cutting it, Lewis Pittman would be next man up. Vinny Cole, a draft pick from last year. We got a lot of starters in the last draft, and just like before, we had hit on a lot of those guys. Vinny Cole right now, just a 3-pitch mix, but won't strike out a whole lot of guys and does give up home runs. So it's 22 years old. It's kind of a flyer pick, but we think we can figure it out with him. That's just a really unfortunate skill set to have, so that's why, with all the talent everyone thinks he has, why he comes this low on our list. Patrick Dubois, another guy that we have to wait to develop. We think he's a few years away, but again, could be one of those well-rounded, all-around type of guys with good athleticism to play our outfield. Emin Morales, very excited for him. He could be a little bit, or we could push him a little aggressively. I think he has the hit tools to play in even the upper minors. It's just all that defense where it might cap out at him being a first baseman. If you're not going to hit a lot for power, that's kind of what it is. Does play shortstop, I guess. Wouldn't put him there myself, but what position he can play and has played. But I think the hit tool is going to be obviously his bread and butter. And it could play in the higher levels of the minors this year if we think he's doing as good of a job as we think he can. Howard Madrigal, as we get to cracking the top 10 of our list, he's a shortstop that killed rookie ball, high athleticism. And again, another one of those putty guys. What will we develop? What are we going to be looking for him to do? And he can do a whole bunch of things, just not quite there yet. It'll be a couple years before he is ready. Chris Sutton, another guy that we have and have been in this organization for a few years. We've seen him. He might top out as a reliever, just doesn't work super deep into games, keeps the ball in the ballpark. 5 pitches, all pretty good. We've seen him before. We know what kind of he's about. And same thing goes for Bernardo Caruso. A little bit more in the workhorse category. Maybe his skill's a little bit on the lower end, but these two are 1A, 1B. One's a righty, one's a lefty. I think they can both be contributors at some point in their careers. Roger Cologne, a guy we drafted, big lefty, 6'5", 235, furious fastball. I'm really excited about him. I think he can be a lot better than things on paper. You go deep into games, just gotta, get those skills to where they need to be, and I think he could be wicked dangerous. Has a lot of break in a lot of his pitches. He might be the next guy for us. Henry Manuel rapidly rose in our inner circle rankings last year. Was a highly touted prospect for us, but really dominated AA. Got a taste of coffee in AAA. That's where he will start. But yeah, he's an absolute gem. He's someone that could be cracking some innings for us this year. Ken Yamazaki is an 18-year-old. We think he's going to be playing a lot. He will go forever, and he throws with velocity. So not only is he going to be pitching deep into games, he's going to be pitching hard deep into games. 6'2", 230, 18 out of Japan. Again, a guy that we're just lucky he got to us, and we got him in the later portion of that first round, and it was going to work out wonders. A scouting discovery for us, and I think he's going to be awesome. Number 4 on our list, Robert Cairo. We know about Robert Cairo. We know what he's all about. Big bat. Power will come along. Plate skills are great. Athleticism off the chart. Stays healthy. Just needs to work on that fielding. If he can just be a more reliable fielder, second base probably is long-term home. But we're really excited about Robert Cairo. And now one of the 2 big additions we got via trades, Enrique Benitez. Another very similar profile. High athleticism, high contact, high plate skills, okay power, not great fielding. And if you want to be our upcoming center fielder, he's going to have to work on that. Another very similar profile, Troy Wood. A little bit better fielding, a little bit better power, not as good contact, but still really, really good. And not as good athleticism, but still playable. So these guys, both from New York, both outfielders. These, again, very similar in terms of how they are perceived and what they could potentially be for us, but I really do love these profiles. I really do love these bats. I really do think these guys are going to be very, very good for us soon. And both of these guys are knocking on the doorstep. Troy Wood already got a cup of coffee in the major leagues last year in 5 games, had 8 hits, a home run, 7 RBI, 2 stolen bases, killed it in his 24 plate appearances, accumulated 0.3 WAR, so pretty good in my book. And, of course, David Moore, the number 1 guy. We're going to add that third pitch here in spring training. You'll have to see what it is maybe later on. But, again, an absolute stud. And that is going to do it for our prospect rankings, prospect look. It's a really, really, really fun group this year. I'm super excited to see how they do. And, again, this is the future of our team. And again, with the shakeup of the offseason and the budget being where it is, unless it gets changed, it's going to be interesting to see where we're at next year. Here we are in the first wave of cuts in our spring training. We didn't bring too many pitchers with us this year, so really the only battle we're looking at is that final starting pitcher spot. And it's really between Parra, Garcia, and Barrea. Right now, Barrea, Garcia, and Parra haven't been doing great, and Fernando Benitez hasn't been doing great either. But since we don't really have too many guys in camp with us, they're just going to be battling out for at least another week or until we have our second wave of cuts. Same thing in the bullpen. Everyone's really getting action, and most of these guys only have 1 or 2 battles really between Kroger, Powell, and Dan Wyatt, who all 3 of them aren't doing too hot right now, but those guys are kind of in the mix for that last bullpen spot, and obviously Calderon. Catching-wise, we do not think we are going to be having Josh Rubel go. So even though he's having a fine time, Rubel was kind of just up to have a guy. He is going to be moved down. First base-wise, we're going to keep Tyrone Garinger. I do think he has an outside shot of making the 26-man roster. I really like his bat, especially off the bench. Doesn't provide really anything else, but just having a high contact, keep a rally going guy could be interesting. We'll see kind of where the roster shakes out when we get to the end of it. Obviously, Tommy Domine and Nolan Gorman will be making team. Second base really is our utility spot. Juan Guerrero, look at all the positions he can play. Cyrus Johnson, look at everywhere he can play. It's going to be down between these two guys. Cyrus Johnson, we've had for a while and is disappointed, but he's just versatile and he has a whole new lease. A lot more time until we have to get rid of him. So Juan Guerrero probably will be gone after this year because he's hitting arbitration, and we have basically Juan Guerrero at home for cheaper. But I'm going to let them fight it out to see who gets the spot, because we're going to have one super utility guy, and it's going to be one of these two guys. At third base, William Kang is going to be sent down. He was kind of an outside shot guy as well, and he isn't really making too many waves. Shortstop Fred Gerber, same idea, outside shot guy, not making too many waves. We're going to give Khalil Watson the regular at-bats. He is going for a position, trying to get a bench spot with us. Jazz Chisholm, Heriberto Hernandez, Jordan Rogu, Troy Woods doing all right, and Christian Nam. Christian Nam will be sent down. Again, another guy who we kind of had on the 40 to protect him. I don't think he's going to be going for a spot this year. Maybe next year with some more development, see how he does in minor leagues this year. Probably actually getting his first real taste at full season ball. So that'd be interesting. Troy Wood, Noelgu, Heriberto Hernandez, all in that mix for that fourth outfielder spot. I do feel like it's going to go to Benny Montgomery. Leland Metzger actually tearing it up. We're going to keep him in camp. We're going to let him battle for it. Why not? And then on primary right fielders, that is all we have for the first wave of cuts. All right, time for second wave of cuts. Again, we're not going to move any pitchers just because we actually don't have too many pitchers in our 40. We actually might need to swap that around at some point this season, but for now, we're just going to roll with it. But we are going to start getting our regular starters stretched out a bit. And we're going to looking at this final battle. It looks like Rafael Parra is running away with it. So he will get the chance to stay in the rotation while Garcia, Barrera, and Benitez are going to get moved to the bullpen to kind of battle it out. Kroger not doing too hot. Powell doing all right. And Dan Wyatt not doing too hot again. They have another basically week and a half to figure out who wants the final spot. And Calderon doing just fine. Catching-wise, Velasquez and Winchester are going to be battling out for the final catcher. I think I'm going to give it to Winchester just because of that bat. Either way, Velasquez does have one more option to use as well after playing about 100 games combined with us. Just hasn't really figured it out offensively. Had a really big year for us. I think his second season in our organization, but hasn't really captured that same spark ever since. So we're going to give this battle some more time. Gehringer, he's pushing. I mean, if he wants to make this team, go right ahead, brother. So we'll let him roll until we may have to make a decision there. Same thing for these two. Khalil Watson, not looking too hot, trying to win that backup infielder job. And here we go. We're going to make some cuts here in the outfield. I think Troy Wood, is going to be better, at least starting the season off in AAA or AA, wherever we decide to put him. Nwogu and Hernandez done enough to kind of keep themselves in this race. But Nwogu and probably Heriberto Hernandez is probably going to be getting the boot. Hernandez has no options left while Nwogu has one. Metzger has continued to be good. We're going to let him ride it. If you're going to earn your spot, you're going to earn your spot. And I'll let you go earn that spot. Benny Montgomery does have all his options used. Metzger probably be just for those semantics, be the odd guy out. But we've only made 5 cuts through 2 rounds. It's been a very close competition. I want to give everyone the fair chance. Why not? Usually if I have some set in stone, cut and dry things. But let's roll. Let's get the starters out there and see how we finish up spring training. So it seems like we've come to a decision with Cyrus Johnson. He's going to go on the IL start the year. Tore a finger ligament. He'll be out to start the year. So I guess it's a decision made for us. It looks like Juan Guerrero is kind of safe, but we shall see. So Cyrus Johnson will be starting the year on the shelf. All right, we are in the final hours of spring training. Here's how everyone kind of did in limited actions. Again, I'm not looking at the spring training results much for these guys. These guys are going to be on the team. They're going to be fine. Obviously, they were working some kinks out, getting back into the swing of things, but for the most part, White, Leonard, Mora, Rose, And Rafael Parra has earned his spot. 26 innings, 27 strikeouts, a 1.73 ERA. Yeah, he was awesome. He limits home runs, kind of works exactly how we want him to. Rafael Parra is going to be the guy who is making that number 5 spot. With that being said, Marco Garcia will probably win a bullpen spot. Brennan Barrea right now does have an option left. We're going to move Fernando Benitez down. He wasn't going to be getting the call. We've used 2 of his options. He's fine. He's good. He'd be a AAA guy kind of in this next wave if one of these guys struggles. But right now, we're going to wait on Barrera. Maybe we get him in here too as another lefty. But at the moment, it's just going to be, we're going to keep an eye on him. Let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we need 2 pitchers out of these guys. And definitely one of them is going to be Kroger. He's moving down AAA, just not ready at the moment. Holden Powell's all right. Dan Wyatt had a good year for us, but we have options. We're going to move him down to AAA right now. So let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We are going to keep Barrera. So that is what our pitching staff is going to be, and we'll go over it at the end as well. Now let's get to the heavy stuff. Let's get to the position player cuts. We're at 31 right now. You need to get to 26, and we have some battles to go over. Ralphie Velasquez just did not win the battle. Hasn't been hitting. He could be a guy who might be on his way out of town soon if there's things just don't get better for him. Tyrone Garinger we're going to keep just for a second. Obviously, he's really, really good hitter's profile. We'll see what we kind of need. We have 4 guys to get rid of. Cyrus Johnson being gone for a little bit helps with that for the time being. But probably going to go to Juan Guerrero anyway. Had a better year. Cyrus Johnson has the flexibility roster-wise, so that's just what it is. Jordan Thompson will be our 3rd baseman. Khalil Watson at just 200. Okay. Jordan Nwogu is going to go down. Actually, let's look at the other outfielders. Benny Montgomery did not have a single hit. Leland Metzger did awesome for us in his limited time. All right, so you have 1 outfielder out of 1, 2. Okay. Khalil Watson also is out of options. Juan Guerrero, 1 option used. But we're going to keep Guerrero. We're going to try to pass Khalil Watson through waivers. I just don't think he is ready yet still. And right now we're going to try to move him through waivers. Right now we have guaranteed 1 bench bat, 2 bench bats. So it's either... I figured it out. Hernandez, AAA. Nwogu, AAA. Now let me just see the lineup for a second. So these right now is what we have. Do we value? These are 2 things that we're going to be looking to what we value. Metzger for speed, Garinger for a bench bat. And I think it's bench bat. We already have speed with Guerrero and Montgomery. So Tyrone Garinger, welcome. You are going to be our backup first baseman / pinch hitter. Even though Metzger did have a really good season, a really solid season, we are going to keep him in AAA for the moment. So that is what the team's going to look like. Let me just kind of move some laps around, and then we'll show you the final product. Here's how the pitching rotation, the pitching staff's going to look like. Bobby White, J.J. Rose, Bud Leonard, James Moore, and Rafael Parra is how we are going to just stack all these guys. And the bullpen consists of Holden Powell, Vinny Garcia, Bo Brisky, Riley Pint, Brandon Barrea, Marco Garcia, Gregory Santos, and Roger Calderon. So a couple of lefties, a couple of righties. I think we have a really good balance there in terms of left-right. Lineups against righties looks very similar. Kwan, Amador, Jones, Chisholm, Gorman, now the full-time DH, Tovar at short, Sterling Thompson at third base, Tommy Domine at first, and Drew Romo, the catcher, with Montgomery, Guerrero, Winchester, and Gehringer all on the bench. Against lefties, Romo goes to the bench in favor of Winchester, who hits lefties like a tank. He's going to slide into that number 4 spot. Gorman, Tovar, Chisholm goes down to the 7th spot. Domine and Sterling Thompson all rounded out. So that is going to do it for the Rockies. However, if you do want to stay, we are going to go look at through basically every team. Just going to give you a quick update on how everybody looks right now. So we're just going to go on a quick little update. You don't have to watch it right now. Everything with the Rockies is done. We're just going to kind of scroll through the team and see how the league has progressed. But if this is it, sayonara next time. If not, we are going to also look over some old friends and see how they are doing if they're in the major leagues. So if you are gone, thank you so much. We'll see you next time. And if you're sticking around, let's check out the rest of the league. First, going through the batting lineups of every team. The Dodgers, T.J. Abrams, Mookie Betts, James Outman, Shohei Ohtani, Dalton Rushing, Alejandro Kirk. We did give them a third baseman in Gabriel Rodriguez. He did not make the team. Ellis Flowers, a rookie, going to be making this team, which is super cool. And that's just how they look. Pitching-wise, Bobby Miller, Shane Bieber, Tyler Glasnow, Nick Frazo, some of the best rotation we're going to be seeing this year. And Eugene Carroll making the big leagues as well. River Ryan, Gavin Stone, just a plethora of starters who are going to be helping out for the Dodgers. For the Padres, this is how they added Jackson Holliday, added Lane Thomas. This is a really, really scary team. This is how it looks. Fernando Tatis in right, Davis Schneider in second base against right-handed pitching, with Ha-Seong Kim going to the DH spot, so that's an interesting move. Holliday at third, Thomas in left, Jackson Merrill in center, Marcelo Meyer at short, David Fry catching, Tanner Bogarts at first, and Ha-Seong Kim the DH. Manny Machado does play DH against lefties, but he, at this stage of his career, with a few more years left, has just basically been relegated to a lefty specialist, so that's interesting. Here's what their bench is looking like, and Robbie Snelling, James Nishi, who last year had a pretty okay season, again, for a rookie at 21 years old. He was fine in 19 games. He's someone that we're keeping an eye out. Dylan Lesko, James Morales, a rookie who's going to break camp, and Jack Leiter, the touted prospect that just never really put it together. Brian Abreu leads a pretty weak bullpen with some more, again, starters getting some clout here. So that's what the Padres look like. Giants, Jung-Hoo Lee, absolute stud. Victor Robles, Spencer Steer, Spencer Torkelson, MJ Melendez that they added, Iggy Rosario, Marco Luciano, Gavin Lux, and Eliezer Alfonso. Blake Sabol is going to not bat against righties. It'll be Alfonso against lefties. Bryce Eldridge now on the bench. He's a pretty interesting guy. Their rotation pretty stacked. Nick Lodolo, Logan Webb, Alexi Escobedo, again, who had an insane year strikeout numbers-wise and starting to put things together, and Jordan Hicks and Dean Kramer, a pretty good rotation. Jojo Romero, they signed as the closers. Here are their relievers. And again, a pretty solid squad. They also have Sean Jelly out there that basically is their 6th starter. The Orioles have seen a little bit of a reshaping, but they still got Basayo, still got Kobe Mayo. They added Jordan Lawler. They add Gavin Sheets. When did the Gavin Sheets get here? He got here this year after winning a World Series with Cleveland. And this is kind of the rest of their roster. Heston Kjerstad has yet to really put it together, but still really getting his first real full-time opportunity at 31 years old. And that is how it is looking right here. The pitching side, Edward Cabrera pretty good. Corbin Burns getting a little older, and then it kind of falls off from there. Sebastian Sosa, they got in the trade deadline last season, and here's the rest of their bullpen. Red Sox added Ellie De La Cruz, which he's going to be so fun in that ballpark. Vaughn Grissom, Brandon Marsh, Rafael Devers at first base, Roman Anthony. Look at all these lefties all in a row. They have to do a better job at kind of mixing and matching where the lefties go in the lineup. Alec Thomas, a free agent acquisition as well, and Nick York is going to be playing shortstop for them. So things are looking great in Boston. Definitely not. Obviously, they could use Marcelo Meyer, but they traded him stupidly, I think. Kyle Bradish and David Peterson make a pretty good 1-2. Pablo Lopez, getting older. DL Hall really hasn't put it together yet. And Gordon Graceffo is a pretty weak, top-heavy rotation. Luis Patino, who last year had 37 saves between two different squads. He's signed to be their closer. And this is the rest of their bullpen. Alex Hardesty, also in the bullpen for them, played in and started in 12 games for them last year. He was part of the Crochet trade. He has a 5.46 ERA, so again, still not putting it together, but we'll see if he's able to get some starts this year for him, but as of right now, in the bullpen. Old friend alert. Yankees, depleting, but old friend Yanquiel Fernandez, this looks ugly. I hate it. I hate all of it. Aaron Judge still putting up monster numbers well into his 30s, but definitely slowing down a bit. Still playing every day, however. Evan Russo, a guy that was a fun draft prospect for us to go out and follow. And that pretty mediocre lineup, I think, for them all together. They have Mason Wynn, shortstop, who they signed to a huge deal, a big deal. I don't say huge. Only playing against lefties for them, which is an odd choice. Carlos Correa, I guess, is better. I get the bat. I don't know. I don't get that. At least this is right now. It could change. And their starting pitching is abysmal. 90-year-old Blake Snell, who's not been good in about 6 years, headlines the group, and it's just Ryan Feltner, old friend alert. Hasn't been good with the Yankees. Pretty sick. Just not been good. Lincoln Hanks, a former guy we were looking at for draft-wise. They have Alexis Diaz, and then the rest of their bullpen is mostly starting pitchers who are rookies. So, yeah, it is like the old at the Ferrari or the Maserati, whatever, in the trailer park yard. That's Alexis Diaz in this bullpen. Pete Crow Armstrong from Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay is actually pretty sick. They added Sean Newell. They added Crow Armstrong on a huge deal. It's going to see him getting paid $50 million in 2039. That's interesting for sure. They've supplemented pieces. They've added pieces when they need to. A big lefty lineup, but this is a team that probably could play. This is a very weak AL East. Again, Baltimore made it last year in the playoffs, winning just 80 games. Adolfo Castro, lefty specialist, and one of the best lefty hitters in all of the league. And then their starting rotation, Alex Manoah, pretty good. Mike Soroka, okay. And then some young guys mixed in with some not great guys. Yohan Adon is going to be their closer, I guess. Clay Holmes also there, and the bullpen that's very lackluster, to say the least. Wrapping up the AL East, Eddie Dorta. He is a high-contact guy. Played 133 games as a rookie and did really well. Then kind of went more to a bench role last year. Clyde Cowan, another guy that we saw in the draft a few years, actually broke camp as an 18-year-old and then is yet to get as much playing time. So I think they rushed him a little bit. And finally he's looking to get consistent at-bats. He's actually a pretty good prospect and going to be a pretty good player. Luis Arias, Vlad Guerrero Jr. They added Colton Cowser to a pretty cheap deal, I think. Anthony Volpe as well, or Elvis Martinez. An okay lineup. They're not going to do a whole bunch offensively, but an interesting team, I guess. Not a lot of power in that lineup. Shout out Vern Carney. Real ones remember who Vern Carney was. Their rotation, Tiedemann, Suarez, Reagans, Frias. Just not great. Felix Bautista's there, and again, some not great. But Reggie Crawford, a two-way player who is going to be on the team. So that's an interesting, very interesting find indeed. Central, Ramsey Spelman, remember him? This is what their lineup is looking like. Okay, and we'll just kind of start going through these a little bit more. Rotation is okay, guys who are solid, but no one's going to like blow your doors off. And this is kind of their bullpen. Again, kind of in that same breath. Cleveland, defending champs. Jarren Duran, Valera, Adley Rutschman, Chase DeLauder, an absolute stud. One of my crushes. I don't think we'll be able to get him on the team, but oh boy, would I love to. Manzardo, Zach Neto as well, doing really, really well. And just a very solid team. One of the best teams we've seen so far since kind of scrolling through. But their bullpen and their rotation just isn't. Well, the bullpen's actually pretty nasty. The rotation is where they're going to need Gavin Williams and Harold Flaherty really step up. And who's going to be that guy to come and do it? Because this is a young staff, and it's not that great. For the Tigers, they've made some additions too, and they're scary as well. Noelvi Marte will lead off in DH. Gunnar Henderson, Jace Young, Kerry Carpenter's really solid. They added Pete Alonso. They just need a catcher, and their starting rotation's pretty good. Job, Skubal, Horton, Manning, all super solid, and Will Cullen in there as well. Alex Lang, one of the best closers in the game. And they have some youth here in the bullpen, but I think they should be fine. Kansas City, they've also got Ethan Salas. They've gone out and got Spencer Strider as well. Just a really well-rounded, and to add to Bobby Witt Jr. and Ethan Salas, that's just one of the best and youngest 1-2 punches. Look at this contract from Salas. Jeez Louise. Absolutely crazy. One of the anomalies in Major League history, him being this good at that young of an age and getting this bag at this young of an age. It's been super, super, super fun to watch him develop, and we had a close eye on him. Rotations, Strider, Singer, one of the best 1-2 punches. Rasmussen's good. Barger's a strikeout artist, and Asa Lacy adds in a very, very solid bullpen as well. They're going to be a team to look out for sure. Minnesota, it's Brooks Lee, it's Walker Jenkins, Edward Julian, Matt Wallner, Alex Kirilloff, Jake Berger. Pretty good, pretty solid lineup to try to get back to the promised land. And again, another solid but not great rotation and bullpen for the Twins. Houston, Albies, Brendan Donovan, and Yoran Alvarez. They added Junior Caminero, who's absolutely filthy. Jeremy Pena still there. This is a really solid team. Shea Langolier is actually coming off the bench, at least against righties, but he is playing against lefties, as Yenier Diaz and hit lefties all too well. And Javier, Bryce Miller, Jose Acurity, really one of the top trios we've seen starting pitching-wise so far. Bybee and Whitley round it out with a very, very, very good bullpen to boot. The Angels, they have Evan Carter. That's cool, I guess. Mike Trout, on his last year of his big contract. It's crazy that I remember it like it was yesterday when it comes to him signing this contract, but has stayed relatively healthy for the last few years, so that's awesome. We've seen he's chasing 600 home runs. Chasing, 550 doubles, chasing 1,600 RBI. He's been incredible. He is an absolute bona fide Hall of Famer, one of the best players of all time. His WAR total right now stands at 142. Craziness. Also have old friend alert in. Where was he? I saw him earlier. Where is he at? Right here. I'm right on him. Jordan Beck, who actually had a pretty decent year for the Halos last year. 795 OPS, 711 OPS his first year starting. Has gotten the chance to start. He's hit a couple home runs, getting some doubles, and given a chance to really spread his wings. I love to see that he has this chance. Their rotation is nasty, though. Clanahan, stud. Tristan McKenzie, stud. Brady McCain, the guy we saw in the draft, he's going to be a stud. Brian Moore, another guy that we had draft eyes on. Started all last year. gonna be a stud. Max Fried, former stud in the back end of the bullpen. This is a really, really good starting rotation. Probably the best top to bottom we've seen so far. And then a pretty solid bullpen as well. This could be, I mean, if this offense wasn't this abysmal, I would say dark horse, but I don't know if they're just going to score enough. A's, now they're dangerous. We've dealt with them, literally and figuratively. They've gone on, they've added in the last, all these guys added in the last couple of off seasons. Obviously drafted Dexter Ross, who's going to be a stud, is a stud currently. And just having to supplement these pieces around, but this is as good as a top 6 you'll see in a lineup. It's pretty good. Decent power off the bench as well, and Geronimo Cabrera and Isaac Paredes. Kyle Harrison, Jesus Luzardo, Barton Lopez is young but has promise. Mitch Spence is not young anymore, but they also have some okay bullpen guys. A lot of younger guys, a lot of guys that they've drafted and or traded for. So it's going to be interesting to see how their pitching staff holds up past their first 2 guys. But this is a good offense at least. Here are the Mariners. I haven't heard much from the Mariners. Julio Rodriguez, stud. That's all you really got to know about this offense. Gavin Reno and Ceddanne Rafaela, former Rocky. Let's see how he did. Had 26 home runs last year. Really a breakout year of sorts for Rafaela. So that was super interesting. I did not think he had 26 home runs in his bag, but he ended up doing it. And with that defense as well, he was almost a 4-WAR player. So a really, really, really good season for Rafaela. Got him $5 million in arbitration. Here is the bench, and the rotation is not what it used to be. They do got Garrett Crochet, so shout out Garrett Crochet, but yeah, definitely a depleted rotation and bullpen. And speaking about depleted, Corey Seager, Wyatt Langford, Josh Young, only remnants from a super promising team that just underperformed and underachieved time in and time again since I've been GM here. Cease is added to Reed Detmers and Patrick Sandoval, but is it going to be enough? Their bullpen looks good. Just don't really have enough offense. Again, kind of the Angel situation. Now into the National League again. Acuna, Olsen, Riley, Bo Bichette. Just again, crazy offense. Crazy offense. We'll see if everyone can just stay healthy. That's the big question. And can the pitching? They have a lot of solid dudes, like 3 or 4 number 3s. Will that be enough? Will that be consistent enough? We'll have to say bullpen also a little lacking. Marlins, they have a couple of our old friends and guys that we have looked at. Louis Harrington, awesome. Brendan Rodgers, this is a guy that has put up some pretty solid seasons in Miami. Solid. Again, this is kind of just regular Brendan Rodgers, like a 720 OPS with like 15 to 25 home runs and 70 RBI. That's just Brendan Rodgers in a nutshell, really. Zach Veen, old friend alert, his first season starting, basically churned out the same season we got from him last year. Walked a little bit more, but that's just because he played a little bit more, but everything else kind of stayed the same in 20 more games. So really, I think we got the better version of him not last season, but the season prior. No one really good on the bench, but they have Alcantara, Rodgers, Perez, Noblemeyer, Kopech. That's the best rotation we've seen. And they have a decent bullpen as well to boot. Yeah, this is a good pitching staff with an offense that's getting there. So they've added Soderstrom. If someone gets hurt, though, I don't know who's going to be on their bench. Edgar Valdez found himself here as well. Mets, Rosario, Jordan Walker, Colt Keith added, Francisco Alvarez has been there, and that's kind of it for them. And then a couple good pitchers here, Bradley and Gilbert, and then it falls off from there. So interesting to see what they do this year. Phillies trying to return to the World Series. Everyone's just getting old, man. That's just kind of what it is. Everyone's getting old. They have so much money tied up. Is this the final chapter of this really good Phillies team? It's going to be interesting to see what they can do. Pitching-wise, they've able to keep that up. Really, some really good pitchers here in Kirby, Gore, Peralta, Abel. Bullpen's fine, I guess, but we'll see just how much they can hold on. Everyone's getting older, Nationals, Brady House, Jared Kelenic, Dylan Cruz, Royce Lewis. This is going to be a dark horse team. I'm going to put a little flyer out saying they're going to win the division. Dollander has been fine with them. A little better than kind of more akin to the first 2 seasons we got from him. The last 2 seasons we got from him is really what concerned us. But put up a season more on the lines of his first 2, so he's starting to trend upwards back again. But other than that, definitely falls off. And Ezra Soto is going to break camp, one of the biggest prospects in the game. Michael Chen, James Triantos, O'Neill, Cruz. This is a pretty solid Cubs lineup. They were in the playoffs last year. Can they repeat that? Again, really solid, but not fantastic pitching rotation. And a good, but not outstanding bullpen. Max Clark and a bunch of others. Obviously, here's Sherwood. Winchester, we are super invested in see what he does. He would have been our first pick in this franchise if it weren't for the Reds being ahead of us. And he's kind of jumped between playing a lot and not. But almost won the batting title last year. I think he solidified himself as the guy. He's put up almost a 6 WAR season last year. This is a guy when he plays, he's just on. Walks a lot, doesn't strike out a whole bunch. One of the best fielders at the position. Really, really solid. I would have loved to have him, but I'm glad we got Bobby White. So, is what it is. And he's helping command a pretty solid pitching staff that added Grayson Rodriguez, has Rhett Lauder and Hunter Green. Shane Baz has been here now for a couple of seasons, and they have a pretty decent bullpen as well. So this is going to be an interesting team to see what they do. I think just barely missed the playoffs last year, and so did the Brewers, who added Casey Mize. Andrew Painter's been here for a bit. Luis Garcia's been here for a bit. Very, very solid pitching staff and a good bullpen headlined by Juan Duran, who had 40-plus saves in his 2 seasons here so far. And then add that to Marshall Whalen, one of the best contact leadoff guys in the game. Bill Carrillo is going to get the start in left field, it seems. Juan Soto, the best overall hitter in the game, factually, and he's up to be a free agent in a couple of years as well. Jackson Chourio in the conversation for best all-around overall player, but definitely gets bleaker as you go down. Will this top of the lineup be enough to kind of keep them in that race? This team was like the best team in the league last year before they got bounced in the NLCS, I believe. Kept Henry Davis to go with this squad and didn't make a whole bunch of moves, but I don't really think they needed to. Led by Skeens, Oviedo, Flaherty, Solomedo, and Bubba Chandler. Just a pretty solid team all around. Just really love this team. It could be a good one again. St. Louis, they got some guys. They got Jordan Wood. Kyle Tucker's going to be the new first baseman. Warming Burnable, former friend of the Rockies. He's going to the bench. And it looks like Hunter Goodman didn't even make the team out of spring training. Where is Hunter Goodman at? Hunter Goodman, where are you, sir? Is he the other way in AA? Unless I'm just missing him. I don't know. Maybe they released him. I don't know. And Rufus Dorman, definitely a better year than when we have seen him before. They have Tink Hence there as well. Tekoa Roby, Connor Jerpy. This is a team that's an Alex Marine, former friend of the program as well. Another piece in that Nolan Gorman deal. He's there as well, but a team that's figuring it out for sure. They added some guys, James Wood, Jordan Westberg, but is it enough? Obviously, they have guys like Herman Franco, who is definitely ready enough, and maybe Randall Franco is definitely ready enough. We'll just have to see what they do. Probably Goodman's on waivers, I would assume. And last but not least, Arizona, Jake McCarthy. Again, we've seen this team so many times. We kind of know what they're about. Did lose some guys, did retain some guys, so a team that I'm sure we're going to be playing in the playoffs again. And their pitching staff, they just added another monster to it, added another monster in the back of the bullpen. Probably top to bottom, the best pitching staff in the league. And if you stuck around, thank you. That's going to do it for this episode entirely now. Again, we'll see you next time here with the Colorado Rockies. I'm Cody Chalifoux. Peace out.